Sega Game Gear God.
Welcome back to episode 3. We are on container 1, and this is part 3. My goal is to try to get through the remainder of this container, so let's get into it. We have an accessory. This is wrapped like I was going to ship it somewhere, but that's not the case. A common item. That would be the Sega wide gear screen magnifier. So you would hook this up, snap this onto your Game Gear, and it would obviously magnify the screen, making it bigger. Mounts to the back of your Game Gear, easily detachable for convenience and portability. I might have used one of these once or twice. Let's see what else we got. Good Lord. I bubble wrapped these like I was never ever going to open them, and I probably thought that I wouldn't. That I would someday just lose interest and sell the collection as one whole unit, but that didn't happen. Here's super wide gear. Again, screen magnifier. We can compare the two. Okay, same function, two different boxes. I'm not sure if this is a European release or not. I don't know. If you know, leave me a comment or connect with me on Instagram. This one's heavy, so I know what this one is. Packing tape and bubble wrap. All day long, there's going to be a lot of this. This is the Sega AC adapter, the plug-in power for the Sega Game Gear, for use exclusively with Game Gear for Sega. I've never noticed that. Game Gear for Sega. Game Gear eats batteries. This saves it. Okay, Japanese games. There's a lot of them. First one starting off is Mappy. It's kind of a fun game. Not really too much else I can say about it. This is a game, it's an example that's all in in Japanese. So I'm going to have to look up online to determine the English translation of this game. And as you see, it has this logo, and this one happens to be printed on the box. And I believe it's called Maisuku. And some of these with that label on there are printed directly onto the box. And then there are Japanese games where that little corner triangle logo is an actual sticker. So, being an obsessive collector, I have tried to track down the games that had that not only printed directly into the box, but then also where it was a sticker later applied. In case you didn't know. Another game that I am not going to pretend that I know the name of, but I know just from looking at it, it's a game that comes up quite often. It's quite common and not hard to find. Oh, one in English. FIFA, International Soccer. Right there. Again, complete. These games are all complete. All my Japanese games. I believe this is Gundam Winner's History. Has the cool foil sticker. This game, the price on this game has kind of gone up and down over the years. We all know there's sellers out there who think that a Japanese game, because it's Japanese and it's for Sega Game Gear, that it must be worth a lot. But those of us who've been collecting for a while realize when we see those games come up for $50, $75, all the way up to like $500, and being a long-term collector or long-time collector, I just kind of shake my head and laugh. Like, they think they have something amazing, but they don't. Our pal, the Lion King, complete in box, has the Walt Disney Company. There's a very small sticker right there with the Mickey Mouse face, I guess making it official, and it's also written in Japanese directly under that. I'm assuming saying the same thing. Dragon Crystal. This is an RPG role-playing game. And this game, I had to buy several copies to get one that was in really good condition. And unfortunately, this is not that one yet. It's beat up, rubbed up, banged up. It's not a beater box, but it's definitely, it's definitely one that I could sell, that I think the person receiving it would be like, okay, this is a good place filler. But as far as like your real collection, where it's like these are the best of the best of the best, this game would be only a placeholder, nothing more. I don't get into role-playing games. I have tried. When I was growing up, my brothers played Dungeons and Dragons with my neighbors, and I tried really hard to get into it, but it was just far too slow of a process for me to enjoy. I like things that are at a much faster pace. It keeps my interests, and it keeps me, stimulated. Where you, instead of rolling a dice, and then you have to do this, and then you roll dice to see if you can do that, and you roll dice to see how much of battle damage you did this and to this creature, and no thank you. Lemmings from 1992. First time I played this game was in O'Hare Airport in Chicago. My mother and I had flown in to visit her sister, and her sister was late to pick us up, and we went into the arcade in the airport, which had maybe 10 games, and Lemmings was the game that I chose to play. And at the time, I was like, what the hell is this game about? What am I supposed to do? So after about 30 minutes, I was just kind of like, eh. Later in life, when I got this game, I'm like, I'm going to give it a second try, and it wasn't bad. We have World Derby, horse racing. This game, too, this is in perfect condition, and this is one that back over the years I've been collecting, you could get for as cheap as like $2. So in Japan, it must have been a very, very common game. Oh, here we go. A little trivia for you. This is a baseball game that I will have to look up the name of, like I will have to do with most of these. And as I go through these, if you recognize the game cover and you know the name, send me a message on Instagram so that I can put a label on the box that they go into and help me better alphabetize when I put them up on the shelves. So I want to hold this game out for a quick second because there's a box variation. Same game, okay, except you'll notice Right here, nothing. And on this one, oh, you'll see that there is a graphic printed right onto the box, so you can see the difference. The back of the box is exactly the same, the narrative, the pictures. The only difference is this one that does not have this graphic, this design, that logo. On the back of the box, the batter is in red, and on the back of this box, the batter is black and white. Why the difference? I don't know. But that was something that when I started collecting, I was like, wait a minute, this box is different than this box. And what's the difference? Same game, same instructions and everything. Oh, but it's got this little thing, so I must have to get it. The logic of an obsessive collector. This game, as you can see, is very faded. I think it's like Warehouse Panic or something like that. This was probably, and there's also glue residue from a label or being taped to something else, but this might have been in a display case that was near a window, and the sun just bleached out the color because the back is far more vivid than the front. I know I have another copy of this game, but I think this is a good example of showing you that when games boxes are exposed to sunlight, that they can fade over time, and there's no getting that back. So, if you have a bunch of games, keep the sunlight away from them. Puzzle and action. Japanese game. Complete in the box. This is from 1994. So it's a little late in the development of Game Gear games for the system. This is from 1993. I should know the name of that game. And it's very similar to Columns or the other stacking game by that company that starts with N. 1993, like I said, you can go into versus mode. It's 1 to 2 players. I've played it. I should know it. My apologies. Also, I wanted to show that I had bought clear protective cases that protect the games from UV light and everything. So I'll be putting my standard US and European games in these type of cases. But then I also found same thing, but the size for a Japanese game. So I will be putting all my Japanese games in these nice little protectors, so that I can put them on the shelf and it keeps the dust off them and keeps them protected. There's another game. It's Fighter. I'm going to just throw it out. Hayabusa. This game, again, all in Japanese. 1993, and it's a sumo wrestling game. So if you've ever wanted to be a sumo wrestler and wrestle other sumo wrestlers, that's the game for you. I want to say this is Mahjong, the tile game. If I am not pronouncing those correctly, then that's on me. It's obviously for Sega Game Gear, 1992, made by Namco. I'm sorry, Namcot. And then on the back it says Namco Limited. Very common game. It's one of those games that you would buy a whole lot of Japanese games and that game would be in it, and you're like, oh, I have another copy of that now. Super Monaco GP2. And it is after, I'm not going to kill his first name, but his last name is Senna. He's a Formula 1 driver. This came out in 1992. produced under the supervision of the guy the game is named after, and under the name that the game is named after, Promotions Limited. And I believe he was killed while driving in a race, but I would have to investigate that further. Or if you know, let me know. Save me a Google search. Game Gear League 94, a baseball game. When I first got that game, it was beat up, and then I was like, I'm going to track down a better copy. And for some reason at that time, this game was going for like $30. And looking back, I was like, why the hell did I pay that much? This is not an uncommon game. But my brain said, you have to get a good copy of that game. Again, made in Japan, 1994, by our pals Sega. Okay, you saw the US release of this already in one of my earlier videos, but not Echo the Dolphin 2, the Japanese version, made in Japan, 1995. So we're getting even further towards the end of the system's life. Just a improved version of Echo to the Dolphin 1. Different levels, still quite difficult. Some of the scenarios and some of the gameplay is kind of but it is still one that I needed to have into my collection. And it was developed by Novo Trade, which I don't know of any other game company or any other game that company made. But I'm sure they did. I doubt they were one and done. Then we have that game. I'm going to have to do a lot of searching online to try to match box covers with names. If you are watching and you're like, I know that game, send me a message on Instagram, please. And say, hey, that game, here's a picture of it. This is the English version. This is the English title of that game. I'd say, thank you. That's sweet. 1995. Then, our pal Joe Montana Football, jumping all the way to Japan. Yeah, it'd be a great game if you can read Japanese. 1991. Or you just buy the US release and call it even. G-Lock Air Battle. And the best part of this, I don't know, it's not going to focus in enough, but there's this guy who's just looking at the camera, giving a big thumbs up. Like he is ready to fly. This is in really, really, really good shape. And I know I have more than one, of course, but Sega 1990, made in Japan. Okay, moving forward. I'm watching the time. The last video I did, part 2, was way too long, so this time I'm going to watch the time and keep it around 20 minutes. Because I wouldn't want to watch me for 30 minutes, so we're keeping it a little bit short. HAOPAI 2. So Hopai 2. 1993. Fun graphics on a lot of these, like cartoon artwork on a lot of these Japanese games. US tended to be, and I guess excluding asterisks for Europe, they tended to have like photographs, where a lot of the games for Japan are like hand-drawn cartoons, or just like it's showing you that it's a jet fighter and other jet fighters flying in the air, but instead of using some stock photo, they just either painted or drew a photo for the box, which is pretty rad. Nomo's World Series Baseball. Another baseball game. This is 1995. Sega Enterprises Limited. Okay, we're at 20 minutes. We have Headbuster. I collect also vintage Star Wars figures, not playsets, not ships, none of that, just the Star Wars figures. And I had gotten a Jawa Sandcrawler remote control. If any of you out there know what that is, it was rare and it was in the box, instructions, it worked, all that. I met a guy online who lived in Japan with his Japanese wife, and he was there teaching English. So he was huge into Star Wars. I was like, well, I'm not really into the play sets and things like that. I'm all into the figures. So we worked out a trade where he and his wife went to Osaka and went to a game store, and she translated all the games that they had in stock, including systems and all that. He sent me a list with the prices. I was like, I want this, until the amount that I wanted in games and systems equaled what I was going to sell the Jawa Sandcrawler for. We made an agreement, we did a trade, and it boosted my Japanese collection by a lot, and the Sandcrawler made him very happy. And this was one of the games that was included in that trade. And I remember getting that box in the mail, and I was very, very excited because he packed them really, really well, and the games were all in pristine condition, which just blew me away. So I'll end this video with another game that I can't tell you what it is, because it's in Japanese, of course. And this is from 1995. It does say the, and then the title. The title is what I need to figure out what it is. So I have 3, 6, 9, 10 more Japanese games in this box. I'm not going to go into those. I don't want to drag this video on too long. But the next video should be me finishing this container and then bringing in container number 2 to see what is in that one. So I hope you're all well, and stay well. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can connect with me on Instagram. And yeah, it'd be nice to have a back and forth with fellow collectors and get new information and share information. That would be pretty cool. So take care, and I will see you back in 1 week.